Lady Amberly of House Nicole has Dragon Queen with blades and dead skull, an OK symbol with 100. I think she's happy that the Dragon Queen is dead. All of it emojis. That was nice. Very, very nice. Creative message, Lady Amberly. Thank you.
Sir Thomas of House Ladisa, feeling satisfied, went out gently and tweaked curiosities. Just the end of one story and beginning of others. It's hard sticking to what you want to do in the face of fan criticism.
Yeah, was it George R.R. Martin that said art is not a democracy? Like I'm not going to write what you want me to write, basically.
Yeah, I love it. Lord Stephen of House Kerndl, he has a meme of Lady Olenna, and she's looking pissed off. And it says, me looking at all the Game of Thrones meme. It's the only joy I can find in all this misery. Damn.
Next is Lord Rhine of House Cortez, who has a gif of a dumpster fire. It says, awful. The writing this season is a dumpster fire. And Lady Catherine of House Napek agrees, saying, yes. Sorry you guys feel that way.
Lady Kelsey of House Carlson. It's over and now I can rest. I definitely was surprised with how they chose to end it, but not at all disappointed. When Sam started talking about democracy, I was like, someone on Game of Microphones predicted this. Oh my God. OMG, OMG. Then it was a tease and I laughed. It felt like this wasn't the end, but just the beginning, and I like that. I really wish my "and then Bran woke up" theory had been right, but I'll take it. Oh, like the Dallas thing?
Yeah.
There was a lot of fan service with the entire council scene. I think we can poke plot holes all day long, but the only one that really bothered me was that Grey Worm didn't kill Jon and Tyrion. Overall, I'm happy with it. That's a good point.
Yeah.
Lord Brian of House Edwards. It was the best ending we could have hoped for. I agree.
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
I thought it was pretty awesome. Lady Kira of House Bergberg says, saw this and wondering the same thing. And it's a picture saying, sure, there's a water bottle, which was underneath Samwell Tarly's seat during the council scene, or maybe under an unknown guy in the middle seat. But why aren't more people asking the real question? Is that Howland Reed? And if so, what the fuck? Hashtag Game of Thrones. Yeah, I don't know. We'll have to check the credits or something, see if we can find it. If you can find more info.
Johnny Stitches. Loved it. An epic ending.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Lord Anthony of House Kulam just finished watching it. In all honesty, I feel the same way now as I did watching England in the last World Cup.
Oh, man.
Sad face. I did not watch the World Cup.
I'm assuming they lost.
England lost.
I feel like it was bad.
Sorry, man.
Yeah, sorry about that.
Lady Holly Rose of House McCready says, I'm left feeling a bit deflated, but reading the feedback from others below, it all makes sense to me now. I didn't like Sam bringing the Song of Ice and Fire book over. It felt too on the nose. But apart from that, I'm not sure I would have changed anything. I really didn't see Robo Bran as an option for the throne, but since he was so impartial and above everything, it's the only wise choice. Also, Starks are ruling in basically all directions. Heck yeah. Yeah, the impartial thing is pretty important there.
Yeah. Lady Lainey of House Mizell, disappointed. From the beginning of season 1, episode 1, I was emotionally connected to the characters. And then from season 8, episode 4 to episode 6, I felt disconnected. If that makes sense.
Sure.
My opinion.
Makes total sense.
I can definitely see that.
Yeah, I'm sorry that's how it played out for you, Lady Lainey. Sucks.
I wish we could fix it.
Yeah, maybe we did. Who knows?
Maybe, yeah. I hope you like the episode at least.
Lady Steph K of House Cooper. So who was that? Who was the prince that was promised? And could Drogon have killed Jon with fire? We'll never know.
Yeah, I don't think there was a prince that was promised. I think it was just one of the prophecies that people, get all hyped up about, and then just nothing comes true. It's just a prophecy.
They
That's
talked
it.
about, but Like they put all their eggs in too many baskets sometimes.
Yeah, like like the prince that was promised is like Nostradamus, the world is ending 2012 type thing.
Yep. Yeah, exactly.
Totally.
Lord Brandon of House Ushry Hill. I wasn't satisfied with the ending. Damn, dude. Sorry to hear that, man. Sucks. Wish I could, change it for you.
Oh, but then Lord Brandon of House Ushry Hill. Absolutely no. He's showing a meme. I will show it to you. Absolutely no one. Nothing. Sansa. Bran's dick doesn't work. And I'll show that to the camera.
Knife, like, what'd you say, bitch? Pulling out the cat spot dagger. Great still of him.
Lady Sarah of House Larkham. What an ending to an amazing series. Tyrion going through the rubble to say goodbye to his siblings Cersei and Jaime, and Tyrion crying had me crying. Tyrion trying to convince Jon that Dany was a tyrant like Cersei. Tyrion saying to Jon that his father and Cersei killing all the people that they killed combined wasn't as bad as Dany burning a whole city and murdering the population of King's Landing. Jon was still thinking about all the good that Dany represented. Tyrion knew bringing up Sansa that wouldn't bend the knee to Dany to Jon was the way for Tyrion to convince Jon to kill Dany. Dany had a Darth Maul going on with her outfit. Tyrion realizing that he didn't want to be a part of Dany's tyranny,
typically.
Whatever.
Tyranny, yeah. I was like, what? Dany's tyranny, fuck.
Just commit to one.
You can either be a tyrant or you can commit tyranny.
Tyranny.
There you
go.
Dany's tyranny. Was so awesome. And throwing his hand of the queen pin and the pin dropping at the end of the stairs and the frame closing on the pin at the end of the stairs was magnificent.
Yup.
There was a dark theme playing when Dany was in the throne room and her touching the hilt of the sword, then Jon coming in at the same time was very easy. Dany trying to justify herself to Jon that what she did was right was so wrong. Jon saying that she had killed innocent people and didn't even faze Dany one bit. It reminded me of the scene of Dany looking at all the kids that were killed and hung up when she first arrived at Meereen. And she was so affected by that in season 4. For a second, I thought that Dany had stabbed Jon instead of Jon killing Dany. Drogon melting the throne was in tribute to Dany before the power of the throne corrupted her. Drogon picking up Dany and flying off with her was better than her being burnt, on a funeral pyre like Drogo was. I like the gathering in the dragon pit. I felt like a callback to season 7, episode 7 meeting at the dragon pit.
Definitely.
Bran saying that he should be the hand of the king as his punishment was fitting because he failed himself to help Dany not to become a worse ruler than her father. Brienne was the only person that could fill in Jaime's page in the history. It was so sweet and fitting.
Yeah, it's true. Nobody else knew like some of that stuff, probably.
True. That's a true fact. I think everyone knew that Sam would write the book of Song and Ice and Fire. It was actually Maester Ebros that wrote it. He just did the title.
Close, though.
He would be involved.
He was involved.
Yeah.
I love the side-by-side with Sansa, Jon, and Arya because it showed them in their leading roles. Sansa becoming the Queen of the North, Arya setting sail to discover what was out there is a callback to when she told Lady Crane in season 6 that she would like to become the first person to explore what is beyond Westeros. Jon returning and becoming the king beyond the wall. It came full circle for Jon, Arya, and Sansa because Sansa wanted to become queen. It only made clear that she only wanted to be the queen, but I think she wanted to become the queen in Winterfell at the beginning of the series instead of becoming the queen. Sansa's crown was the same as Cersei's, but only with a wolf instead of a lion.
Oh, man.
I loved Sansa's dress at her coronation. Yes, her dress was incredible.
Amazing.
I love the whole episode, and it had the perfect ending. Thank you so much, Duncan and Rachel, for covering this series with in-depth analysis. I will be listening to you guys because you both share my geekness for the series. Oh, we love you, Lady Sarah. Thank you for your continued consistent feedback.
Thanks for always being part of the show. We always love your feedback.
Yes, we do.
Lord William of House Steiner. John's parentage was meaningless. It was just a plot device to help Danny go mad. Ned plus Ashara equals John for the win. But it wasn't meaningless. His parentage was the only reason he was able to get past Drogon there to stab Danny at the end. If he had been anybody else, no way Drogon would have let him pass.
I think that's an underrated little scene there.
Yeah,
that
definitely.
Scene when Drogon wakes up and is like, and like, looks at him. I think people think, oh yeah, maybe that's just cool effects. No, that was very powerful. Mm-hmm. He looked at him and said, "You go ahead. You're okay."
Yeah, exactly.
Lord Chris of House Saywell. I've criticized season 8 a fair bit. It's been easy. It was just too rushed. But this ending brought it all in. My liking of the series was telling me to hate it all along with other parts of season 8. My brain told me there wasn't anything to hate about this episode. I laughed when John got sent to the wall. But now he gets to go north, where he belongs. I really wanted to see Arya kill at least one other person. Good work.
Awesome.
Thank you. Thanks, Sarah, for writing. Lord Chris, always good to hear from you, brother.
Lord Jamo of House Maxwell. Sir Podrick.
With a Scottish flag.
Yes. Personally, I couldn't have asked for much more from the final episode. I love that we've been left with so many questions. What will Arya find? What's Jon's endgame? Where is Drogon? And what did he do with Dany's body? Tyrion's reasoning regarding Bran as king was brilliant. People love a story, and his is the stuff of legend and will inspire people the world over that the human condition can overcome anything.
Nice.
Thanks for all your work. These podcasts have been nothing short of incredible. Now I'm off to start again from season 1, episode 1.
Epic.
You are so welcome. And thank you for being a continued listener. And I too will be starting a rewatch myself.
Yeah. And now your rewatch begins.
I've said it a million times to you, Duncan. Like, I can't wait to watch all of this with the knowledge that I have now.
Yeah, totally. It's going to be great. Lord Jamie of House Burns. Well, that's it. That's that. An ending to an amazing series. One of the saddest moments was poor Tyrion going through the rubble only to find Cersei and Jaime had died together. Peter's acting has been superb all through this series. I'm also glad Drogon lived, as that world would be a sad place with no dragons in it. Maybe it will come back for Jon as his new keeper one day. Maybe. Did any think Sam, as the writer of the book of the Song of Ice and Fire, was like Bilbo and his book of the Lord of the Rings? I don't know if I got that far in the series, but yeah, it sounds like a good parallel. But in the end, it was an incredible episode, and it had the perfect ending for each character. But I still wanted Jon on that molten throne. But you can tell they have left it open to be continued in 5 or 10 years from now. My watch has ended.
Nice.
Great feedback, Lord Jamie. Thank you for writing in, brother.
Lord Jez of House El Raimi. It was fine, I guess.
Lord Christopher of House Cavero. So I guess the Night King was a distraction. The Lord of Light brought Jon back to kill the Queen, and Bran the Broken already knew he was going to be king and plotted everything to his advantage.
Damn. So half of the followers of the Lord of Light were convinced that Dany was the savior, but then he brought back Jon to kill Dany. So people are definitely having trouble interpreting his signals, it seems.
Yeah. I also, we've had a lot of speculation whether Bran could see into the future or not.
That flight of Drogon over King's Landing, we now know he did see the vision of the future.
But there's a difference between him being able to see and him being able to understand.
Right. Yeah. Just because he sees something, he doesn't know when it takes place or what the circumstances are or anything like that.
Exactly. So I'm not thoroughly convinced, and this is a great line of open interpretation for how people view it. But for me personally, I'm not sure maybe he saw flashes of it, but I'm not sure it was like a plotted out, like, I'm going to take the Iron Throne by letting Dany go massacre all of King's Landing.
Well, it could have very well been like Melisandre, like just following what she sees in a vision, and it's either right or wrong.
Yep, exactly.
He could have been going the wrong direction the whole time.
It's possible. I feel like with him, though, I feel like with his ICE Wi-Fi network, he has like fast forward and rewind capabilities, that are like
I think he was
disabled with other on-demand services like Lord of Light on demand. So I feel like if he saw like King's Landing being exploded, he could probably rewind it for a little bit and then determine based on everything else around it where in history it happened. So I feel like he probably knew exactly what was going to happen and let it all happen, honestly.
That's good that we have kind of different opinions.
I kind of disagree with that, though. I honestly think that maybe he was just kind of putting it together as he went.
Yeah, I mean, who knows,
happened.
Right? Anything's possible.
Yeah, totally. I like it either way, honestly.
That's the best. Lord Ty of House G. So, did Dany break the wheel? At first, I thought she succeeded in breaking the wheel, but at the ultimate cost to herself. However, now it seems it may have just completed another rotation. Dany was the Mad Queen. Jon is the rightful heir who goes north. The north is its own kingdom. Seems like things are nearly the same, like a series reset button, but with a new deserving king instead of Robert. That's funny. I don't know. I feel like it's the wheel is broken to some extent because hereditary monarchy is over, at least in the 6 kingdoms. Who knows what happens in the north, I guess.
Lord Nelson of House Montiero. And it's just a bunch of sick faces.
Oh, man. Sorry, man.
I'm going to show you on the camera. Please explain it to us. What does that mean?
I don't think he liked it.
I know.
Lord LC of House Strick. It's a meme of Tyrion up at the top. It says, who has a better story than Bran? And then there are a number of characters.
Joffrey, Robert, Drogo, Rob, Jaime, Stannis, Peter, Baelish, Jon, Tyrion, Theon, Marjorie, Cersei, Dany, Catelyn, Brienne, Melisandre, Sansa, Ygritte, Shay, and Osha. They all have better stories than Bran.
The thing is, though, is there's only 3 characters on that list that are still alive. That would be Jon, Tyrion, and Sansa.
Good point. And maybe Baelish.
Oh, and we didn't get Baelish. What the fuck? I totally forgot to talk about that.
Oh, yeah, right. Well, we can even mention it now if you want.
God damn it. I'm not disappointed in that. I mean, I knew that there were holes to the theory, and I know they only had a short amount of time, and I was hoping for it, but we didn't get it.
I still feel like he may legit be alive out there somewhere.
Could be. Could be.
For sure. Who knows? Spin-off.
Lord Richard of House Davenport. Why would Jon tell this is one of the biggest ones that I've seen. Why would Jon tell the Unsullied that he was the one who killed Dany? Or is this one of those rosebud things where they're going to try and sell me on the idea that there was someone standing just off camera who saw the whole thing? More than that, why bother telling them that she was dead at all? She took off with the dragon. Game of Thrones over.
Normally, I would say that would be, that it would make sense, but we know that Jon just does not lie.
Yeah, Jon.
He's more honest than Abe.
He wouldn't do something without knowing how to explain himself ever. Yeah,
like he gave up Cersei's forces and the alliance that they needed just because he wouldn't lie and claim that he didn't support Dany already, so yeah. He's definitely Ned Stark's son after all, like Brian Edwards replied to the comment. But yeah, it's a good question.
Yeah. I mean, I've seen that question a lot.
Oh, interesting. Yeah, I have not.
Really?
Yeah.
Everyone, a lot of people I've talked to have been like, why didn't he just lie? He could have just said that she just flew off with Drogon.
Because he's Ned Stark's.
Because
he was raised by the Starks.
Because he's Jon Snow. Sir Matthew of House Repp. What a beautifully crafted story. I know the ending is getting a lot of hate due to the fact that neither Dany nor Jon, quote, won the Game of Thrones, or the fact that there isn't even a throne to win anymore. Doesn't it make all the killing and bloodshed pointless if neither of the heroes win? I think that might be exactly the point George R.R. Martin was trying to make. It was nice to see some of our favorites seem to get happy endings. Sam as the new Grand Maester, Sir Davos as Master of Ships, Bronn moving all the way up in the world as Lord Paramount of the Reach and Master of Coin, Sir Brienne, Lord Commander of the King's Guard, getting to close out Sir Jaime's page in the White Book. Podrick, now a knight, working with his two mentors, Tyrion and Brienne. Good point. That's really cool. Mm-hmm. He's got to be just super stoked, except for that whole vow of chastity thing. Queen Sansa of the North, King Bran of the Six Kingdoms, King Jon beyond the wall, and Arya captaining her own ship to forge her own future. Good luck to the next slaver that tries to come to Noth. Good point. Yeah, they will not have any success at Noth anymore, for sure.
Lord Travis of House Sickler. I loved it. There are a lot of haters on the internet, but I think they wrap things up nicely. They broke the wheel. Jon was freed from something he never had wanted, the throne.
Yep.
Ultimately, it was the throne that killed Dany. Mm-hmm. They say all the Stark Direwolves' names are themed to their owners, and well, I believe the ghost of the wheel, the family name that forced him into the position, now is free where he truly loves, the North. Jon being banished to the Night's Watch for doing what he did, I personally don't see as a banishment, but more of a privilege and the best retirement he could have asked for. And he even got to be reunited with his best bud, who got all the pets that the internet was hating him for.
Yeah.
Totally.
All the pets.
I guessed earlier this season that he might do this and exile himself, so I guess this is a much better alternative. Dany alone by the throne was perfect and totally a callback to her in season 2 in the House of the Undying Dream. Back then, she was there alone and surrounded by snow. Now she is alone surrounded by snow, literally, both the substance and the person.
True.
I thought Arya's conclusion made sense. She's always been an explorer, from the chasing of cats all over Westeros to Braavos and now beyond.
And speaking of like the connections between direwolf names and their connected Starks.
Nymeria.
Yeah, Nymeria. I mean, she's basically, doesn't get any more on the head than that one.
She's a ruthless killer, but all her enemies are now slain, and her list is concluded. What's next for her? Going and becoming a lady in a castle? Nah. That's not for her. She now feels free to go see what else is out there. Would have been cool for her to see Nymeria again, though. Haha. She did name her wolf after a very famous sailor queen.
There you go.
Mm-hmm.
And one could argue she mounted the head of her Nymeria on her ship as she sailed off to explore.
Oh, yeah, with the Direhood prow there. Direwolf prow.
Sansa becoming Queen of the North was a perfect fitting to me, as she got what all the Starks wanted, a free people.
Yes.
Having the Queen in the North and the King of the Six Kingdoms as siblings will make a powerful alliance. Grey Worm retiring to Missandei's Isle is a great retirement for him as well, even though he was being a prick near the end. I'm really bummed that we still didn't get the conclusions to Tyrion's joke. We may never know. Totally caught Sam helping with the title of A Song of Ice and Fire. Also, did we finally see Howland Reed at the King's Moot? Perhaps.
It's entirely possible.
Lord Brennan of House Ushry Hill. And we got a cool meme. What's west of Westeros? I don't know. Probably your spin-off show.
Nice.
Yeah, good one. Travis adds, a Targaryen alone in the world. It was no accident that upon first joining the Night's Watch, Jon Snow ended up in service of Maester Aemon, who turned out to be a Targaryen who had renounced his claim to the Iron Throne, giving rise to the Mad King. Jon Snow did something similar by refusing to stake a claim above Daenerys. On his deathbed, Aemon had a vision of his brother Egg, a nickname for Aegon, which is also the birth name of Jon Snow, though no one knew it at the time, which also foreshadowed a closer connection between the two characters way back in Season 5. Indeed, this season, Jon Snow echoed Aemon's words during his funeral speech after the Battle of Winterfell, which was another signal that he might ultimately follow in the footsteps of his late great-great-uncle and wind up in Castle Black instead of King's Landing. His chat with Tyrion about being the shield that guards the realms of men was another reminder of that eventuality. Nice one.
Nice.
I've traveled to a bunch of random places and random countries. But as a Midwestern guy, I recently have been falling in love with what the more rugged parts of America have to offer to all of us before they're gone. TEA MAGE Productions and Powers Media House presents Beautiful America, a musical documentary series with all original content. Explore the Southwest of America and indulge in some places you've heard of and plenty more that you certainly have not. Cooking under the stars in below freezing temps of Death Valley. 4K drone footage of one of the most insane monoliths on Earth. Driving in abandoned mines, cliffs, canyons, and wild times. Check it out. TEA MAGE Productions on Facebook and YouTube. That's TEA MAGE Productions. Beautiful America.
Lord Jason R. of House Graham. Longtime listener, first-time writer. Color me terribly disappointed in the whole season. It's not at all that it was bad. I rather like the end, except for Bran, but it's so disappointing at the lack of storytelling and development. I knew at the beginning of the season I called Jon going north. I even told my wife that would be the final scene. I figured one of two ways to get there. Either Jon kills Dany and abandons the throne and everything and heads north, or he realizes Dany is evil and he abandons her on the throne and goes north. Which, in that case, I foresaw Dany winning but sitting on the throne in an empty chamber, having what she wanted but having sacrificed literally everything to get there. Pretty bittersweet, obviously. I was hoping for an Arya Grey Worm fight to the death. I think that would have been epic. Ooh, yeah, that would have been pretty neat. I'm totally fine with Dany going Mad Queen. What's more germ than turning a character who's rooted for and wanted to win over 7 seasons turn into the bad guy? I would have just liked a slower burn for her. I had major problems with the dragon pit scene. What made Grey Worm all of a sudden get to decide that punishments were not extreme enough? Why was Tyrion brought to the council but not Jon? They both had turned on and betrayed Dany. When Tyrion made his speech, why did Grey Worm just allow him to speak and offer a solution? That made no sense. It also made no sense that Bran was chosen. Who has a better story? How about half the other characters alive have a better story? And a story as the ruler? That's the dumbest thing I've ever heard. And everyone was just so accepting of it? No one put up any other counteroffers? Sansa decides she would be an independent kingdom? What about Yara? She was promised independence by Dany. Why did she just give in? Dany technically did not promise independence. She told her no on that. The random Dornish guy didn't even know Bran. Why would he just eye for Bran? Let's not talk about Bran. He just said he lives mostly in the past. He can't be over House Stark because he's the Three-Eyed Raven. But he can be king now? Makes no sense. Well, maybe he was acclimating over time, as we'll hear from Sir Thomas. If, as he said in the meeting, that's the reason he came all this way, then that means he is the most evil character of them all. He's worse than Joffrey and Ramsay put together. Because if he saw himself named king, as it's implied in that line of dialogue, then he knew the battles this season would go like that, and he's allowed the deaths of far more people than Joffrey and Ramsay put together. I suppose now we know where Bran warged to during the Battle of Winterfell. He warged to IKEA to pick out his furniture and decorations for the throne room. Dumb move that made no sense. I got the feeling the writers just checked the Vegas odds to see who was the long shot for the throne and gave it to the guy just to stick it to Vegas. Jon was the rightful ruler. Why was he not at the council? Can't say betrayal because Tyrion also committed betrayal and his admittance to that was public. No one saw Jon kill Dany or have proof of anything. Jon should have been at the council. Why did no one question that? No one suggested Jon? He has the greatest story, born a bastard, but truly a king of all. Lord Commander, king in the north, united the wildlings and north in battle against the whites, died in the process. He should have been named king. In which Jon, of course, Jon would have turned it down. He was killed as Lord Commander, questioned as the king in the north, and I think it would have been most appropriate, though, to name him king. Then he would have given a speech about how he was not going to take it and give it to the most honorable person there, other than Jon. The person who was the smartest, most empathetic, his best friend, Sam. That would have been amazing to see him hand everything to Sam. See Sam go from this poor kid getting beaten by the Night's Watch, needing Jon to protect him, to him being named Protector of the Realm. That would have made far more sense than Bran. Why was Jon forced to leave to the Night's Watch when Grey Worm was leaving anyway for Narth? What the fuck? What gave Grey Worm the authority to make demands? He had an army that apparently never lost any soldiers during any of these epic battles, which makes no sense. I think that even though Grey Worm left, Yara and the other people that were mad about Jon were still around, and I guess that would have created conflict. But I see where you're coming from. I loved Sansa as Queen in the North. Arya sailing off was awesome. Tyrion as Hand is great. I think Bronn was only named Master of Coin as an afterthought. It's like the writers thought, oh fuck, we forgot Bronn. Okay, better write him in here. The show was so amazing, but I'm so disappointed. Not in the ending though, aside from Bran, but everything else was great. But I'm just so disappointed in how rushed it felt. It felt like the whole season was an afterthought. The writers and directors are into other projects, and Game of Thrones is not their priority, and it showed. Through every scene. Just so sad and disappointing. At least we finally get a Jon and Ghost reunion. That's true, at least we finally got that. Thank you for writing in, Lord Jason. Sorry you were disappointed.
Lady Lori of House Perkins. 8 years ago, while wrapping up True Blood, I saw a preview for a medieval Lord of the Rings looking show that had Sean Bean in it, and I thought, damn, that looks cool. I love nerdy shit like this.
Yes.
At the end of the pilot episode, I was hooked. After the end of season 1, I was totally obsessed. I started reading the books and reading and researching about the different houses and theories. I started talking to friends and convinced a ton of people to watch it with me. Game of Thrones was a television masterpiece from start to finish. The cinematography, the acting, the music. Oh, the music.
That's Rachel
the twists
right
and turns. Yes. The twists and turns, the special effects, the stunts, the love, hatred I felt for those fictional characters, and the pure joy I experienced by watching HBO doing something that had never been done before. That had never before been done. Sorry, there goes my dyslexia.
That makes sense, though.
Was totally worth it. It's been a wild ride, and I'm so thankful that I was able to be a part of it from day one.
Yeah.
Seasons 7 and 8 were rushed. I believe the last season should have been spread out over the course of 10 to 12 episodes with one really good epilogue. Yes, I couldn't agree more with that.
Cool.
Yep.
That is truly my only complaint. We were lucky to have witnessed this epic fantasy translate from paper to screen and done so very well.
Agreed.
If you didn't like the ending, it's okay. There were parts I didn't like either, but I absolutely think that this is the direction that GRRM will be heading if he ever finishes the books. If you are mad at anyone, be mad at him. The showrunners only had so much to work with, and I think besides the pacing issues, they did the best they could. In all my hours of speculating and nerding out and research, I was right about one thing and one thing only. That, my friends, is why this show is the best thing we've ever seen on TV. Thanks for the ride, GOT. It was worth every second of it.
Agreed.
What a great post. I love that
Thank you,
so
Lori.
much.
Thanks for writing, Lady Lori.
No, that made my day.
Lady Stancha C of House Hall. I guess I expected some overly dramatic ending since that's what the show delivered all of these seasons. I'm happy the Stark kids got what they needed because they are my endgame. They all orchestrated their destiny. Bran said, "Why do you think I came all this way?" That was powerful. When Sansa said, "I'm Sansa Stark of Winterfell. This is my home and you can't frighten me." That, to me, was foreshadowing her as Queen of the North. Jon and Arya were destined to explore, and they're both doing what they desired. Game of Thrones definitely reached higher highs than most shows and has better characters overall by far. Of course, people have suggestions of how they would have ended it, but don't we always? I could think of several alternate endings for my favorite shows, Mad Men, Sopranos, Breaking Bad, and that would be a conversation to last for years. People are still talking about The Sopranos, and if you understand advertising, Mad Men has the perfect ending.
Yep.
It's so cool.
Totally.
Yeah.
That
smile, yeah. Yeah, Coca-Cola.
Coca-Cola, sorry. I heard it as soon as I said it. Damn it.
Game of Thrones did what it was supposed to do. Give us a king that's acceptable, but not the king or queen we wanted. Couldn't agree more, Lady Stancha.
Yes. Love it.
Totally. Sir Patrick of Hindsight, gazer of the Mirish rear view. Dany trades her fur clothes for Führer clothes. Ooh, damn, dude, that's too soon, man, too soon. That's really good, though.
But not wrong.
Yeah. I'm glad my allusions to the Targaryen totalitarian dictator were vindicated. Yeah, he's been saying this for a long time. Long time. I thought I was at least being a little hyperbolic. Apparently not. I wish I had referenced the Targ logo similarity to the swastika more often. But I thought people would not take me seriously. Oh, man. In the live show, you were asking what steps she is standing on. Pretty sure that's Nuremberg. Even if her new braids are swastika-esque. This was way over the top. It almost felt like I was watching Sucker Punch, but I loved it anyway. All those children just starting school named Daenerys. It's unreal. The great liberator. With a laughing emoji.
There's been so many of those memes out, like all the parents like that name their kid Khaleesi or Daenerys are like,
dude, you jumped the gun. You named your kids that before the story was over, you know?
Yep.
Dragons are smarter than humans. Tyrion referenced it in season 6. Drogon proves it now. Turns to the throne. You did this! Nature has reclaimed dominion. Bran is king of Westeros. Drogon is king of the world. Oh, yeah.
Ooh, I like that.
Oh, yeah. The stallion that would mount the world. Now that Mel has traveled to Volantis and informed Kinvara about human resurrection, they can go bring back Dany. Now she can be the Day King. Damn. Oh, yeah, because where did Melisandre go? She may have, brought Jon back and gone to tell the Red Priests in Volantis to spread the word about what had happened. Makes sense to me. So now they'll go track down Dany and bring her back. Bran can puppeteer her and bring Essos into harmony too. Seriously, Bran has always loved climbing, and he knows that chaos is a ladder. And now he climbed all the way to the top. Damn, that's great. Not only was Bran the Night King, he's also the Right King.
Oh my God.
You can be a mass murderer and still be for the realm. Just ask Varys' ashes. Dany finally did eat after Varys was dead. That basilisk venom really did a number on her psyche. Oh man, that would be so funny if Varys trying to poison her was what made her really lose her shit and attack King's Landing. I love that they were covert about Arya stealing Yara's face. Oh. Interesting, because Yara is a sailor who's respected. Arya could cut her throat, steal her face, and take the Ironborn for her mission. I guess, I don't know. I want more elaboration on that, Sir Patrick. Rains plays when Tyrion finds his siblings, suggesting that the Lannister family line has ended, or maybe it's the Targs, since Jon may fathered no children. Either way, they weren't of the same father. When Bran was creepily staring at Tyrion in episode 1, it was because he's making the mistakes that he will have to pay. Was it because he was making the mistakes he will have to pay for? Or because of the irony of him being referred to as, quote, the cleverest man in the world? Either way, suggests he's a Lannister. A lifetime of repaying debts, or being the most related to Lan the Clever. Damn. Great feedback, man. Tyrion tells Tyrion tells Jon oblivion is the best he can hope for, and that's exactly what Archmaester Ebrose gives him. No record of his sins, nor his accomplishments. Nothing for Tywin's precious legacy, either. The White Book fulfills Tyrion's wish by recording him as the one who killed Joffrey. The White Book, doesn't it?
I don't remember that.
Huh. Yeah, I'm not sure. Winter came. That one unburnt blonde child amongst the ashen corpses is another secret targ. In the beginning of the episode. Grey Worm giving the Lord's kiss to Missandei exposed him to her microbiome, which spread to the other Unsullied. They are thus immune to the poisonous butterflies that live in Noth. The Dothraki are not dealt with because the show never brought up the part that makes sense as to their obviously ideal destination. Where would their obviously ideal destination be? I won't spoil it for non-book people, but when A Dream of Spring comes out, it will be like a new gift when we read about the destiny of the Horse Lords. Damn, now I'm curious. Ygritte tells Jon a man can own a wife or he can own a knife, but not both. Jon chooses the knife. Damn! Oh, man. Sir Patrick, ouch. Good call there, dude. That was a long time ago. Wow. Seriously, he's had that knife on his belt for how long? He ditches it before every battle, always replacing the knife. Never do we see him use it. I remember we talked about this for Beyond the Wall. Yeah. Little did we know it was Lightbringer. Yeah, because we were like, oh, looks like there's a dagger on his belt too, because he took off the belt to hand Longclaw to Jorah, and we noticed there was a dagger.
Beyond the Wall.
Yeah, exactly. It may be artistic license, but dragon skin is hot to the touch. Drogon must be laying under ashes, which would make thematic sense, even though snow would be cooler. No pun intended. Yeah, I called that too. It's got to be ash. I didn't make the warm skin connection, the hot skin connection. That's a good one. That's probably also why Dany could sit on Drogon's back so easily, because she could pick up the hot eggs and everything and never got burned. Grey Worm, Jon can't have a wife or kids. All he can do is guard the realms of men. This is punishment. It's the same as my retirement plan. Due to the protective butterflies, the Unsullied only have to keep watch during the night. They are basically a sword and a shield. Maybe they can work a metaphor for spear into their version of the oath.
Oh my gosh.
Dany grabbing the pommel of that sword on the throne. Is it really all about cocks in the end? It really is all about cocks in the end.
Yeah, he's not wrong.
It's funny to think that Gurm's version of the throne is the storybook version. That was bold of D&D. Yeah, like a sword made from a throne made from 1,000 swords of the enemies of Aegon. That you had to climb up a mountain of swords. That is the throne in the books, as depicted by Mark Simonetti, the official Game of Thrones throne, according to George R. Martin. So it's funny that they were casting it in a storybook light. By the way, Jon could never ride Drogon. It is canon that they can never take another dragon's sloppy seconds. How to make Tyrion seem as smart as he did in season 1. Have him debating logic with Jon. That's hilarious. How to make Sansa seem the smartest person in Westeros. Juxtapose her against Edmure. Yes, sir. Man, Sir Patrick, on point with the feedback this finale. Thanks so much for writing, brother.
You win. That's pretty good.
Lots of good stuff. Love his wit.
Yes, always good to hear from you, Sir Patrick.
Definitely.
Lord Ty of House Gorman. I'm surprised there was no Helen Reed appearance, but Jon's heritage ended up not mattering much, so maybe that's why.
I think it mattered more than people may think. Getting past Drogon, he had to be a Targaryen. That was the key to Dany's downfall.
Tyrion, as he's always been, is absolutely the most relatable character throughout the episode. You can tell how extremely upset he is, and it's because things unfolded in exactly the way he was trying to prevent, and he lost all that he had in the world as a result. Oh. Is Tyrion the true main character of the show?
Ooh.
Regardless, hell of an acting job by Peter Dinklage. Drogon nudging Dany's nudging dead Danny may have been the single saddest moment in GOT.
I lost it. For that moment. Holy shit.
I felt so bad for him, but was very impressed by his intelligence in realizing that it was the damn throne that killed Danny, not John.
Mm-hmm.
I'm still confused on Bran's abilities. I don't think he can visit the future as he goes in the past, but I think he receives glimpses.
I think he can see glimpses at the absolute minimum because the Three-Eyed Raven knew he had to wait for 1,000 years for Bran, so he was able to see the future and see Bran in the future. So that indicates that they can see into the future, at least to some extent.
Mm-hmm.
He'll make a great king because he lacks human desires. He'll always do what's best for the realm, and his abilities will let him know what that is. He's like Varys with superpowers.
Yeah, that's great. That's awesome.
Overall, I enjoyed the episode. Everything was wrapped up in a way that made sense. My only problem is that in typical GOT fashion, I want more. Yes.
Yeah.
Show me how they rebuild King's Landing or what Arya discovers or how the next king election goes. Something. This story could continue forever and I'd follow it forever.
Yeah. Same here.
Can I at least get a 30-minute epilogue?
Something.
I was pleased with the season as well. It followed a very natural progression, and outside of wanting more episodes, I don't have many complaints. GOT is a show that you immerse yourself in, so when something goes away I don't like, I view it as legit disappointment in the character as opposed to bad writing or poor plot. You gotta watch how the events unfold instead of trying to write them yourself.
Exactly.
Many fans don't enjoy this season because they just think about the show as a whole. How much time you spend with it, how excited you were every time you found out someone else watched and you had someone new to talk Thrones with. And how when you found out someone didn't watch, you wanted to be the one to convince them to do so because you knew it had changed their life. I don't think there'll ever be another Game of Thrones.
I know.
It gets better every rewatch, and this last rewatch / season with Game of Microphones has been even more enhanced. So thank you, Game of Microphones. I'll be around as long as you are. R.I.P. Game of Thrones. Gonna need those spinoffs ASAP. Lord Ty out.
Lord Ty out.
7 blessings,
yes.
Lord Ty. Thank you so much.
7 blessings, my friend. Thank you.
That was so well put. Oh my goodness.
Yeah,
love it.
Excellent feedback. I'm thinking we may need to cover the books next. Because people are going to start rewatching or going to start reading now that they don't have any more Game of Thrones. I think there's going to be a big surge of book reading, so we should probably jump on that, huh?
Yeah, I think you should get on a kind of a schedule for the books, put something together.
Yeah, I think so. We'll work it out in the next couple weeks.
Okay.
I just wonder what everyone would want to do as listeners.
Yeah, we'll have to put up some posts getting people's opinions and see what people are into, I guess. Sir Mihai of Math and Science, guardian of the tensors and friend of the lambdas. 7 blessings again, sir and lady of the microphones. It's me again, overall awed by this episode. We hear the saddest ever Reigns of Castamere, which plays while Tyrion uncovers the remains of his siblings. We then see him finally decide to go against Dany, throwing down his hand insignia, same as Ned threw it to Robert when he tried to save Dany in Season 1, and then get imprisoned to pay his debts. More on that later. Dany is introduced with the dragon behind her in a posture which reminisces of Lucifer. Ooh, we just talked about that. There you go. Yeah, I said Angel of Death, but yeah, the fallen angel, Lucifer, fits perfectly with that as well. Dany is perfectly framed by the dragon's wings, and you can spot a little bit of dragon horns on top of her head.
Damn, that's
Dude,
crazy.
I missed that. Ooh. That's great. If that's not a sign that she turned to evil, we have her next few words. You have freed the people of the King's Landing from the grip of a tyrant. Whew. First, she wants to become a tyrant, ruling over the entire known world. And second, how did she liberate these people? By killing them? If she intends to do the same for everyone else, then she'd truly be a queen of the ashes. Fortunately, Jon visits Tyrion and, quote, love is the death of duty, and the reverse are being said. That totally blew my mind. It was so good, especially since we've focused on that theme so much. It's been so central to the story as a whole. I think that I'm really glad they brought it back and solidified it as the most important theme of the show, basically.
Yeah. And from two perspectives. They looked at it from both ends of it.
Yeah, exactly. It was like like the second half was unveiled and it became like the overall encompassing theme of the show. It's great. It was because of love that Jaime left Brienne for Cersei and died. Because of love, Tyrion betrayed Varys and pays now with being imprisoned and looking to a future where he gets killed for it. It is for love that Jon still supports Dany until Tyrion brings up Arya and Sansa, just like Ned decided to give up his honor and, quote, confess in the first season when Varys mentioned the girls. So does Jon now. Whatever happens next, he has to get Dany dead. Brienne finally gets to write the story of Jaime. 2 pages of acts of valor, some of which we might have forgotten about. A very tear-jerking moment. Finally, we have a complete new world. We might say the wheel got broken in a way. Maybe. Bran the Broken, first of his name, King of the Six Kingdoms and other titles with a council where Tyrion is again a hand of the king to do his duty and pay all his mistakes from the past, all his debts. Also in the council, we have Archmaester Sam, Grandmaester, with his A Song of Ice and Fire draft, probably there with more rewrites behind the scenes until we get GRRM's book. Yeah, I wouldn't surprise me if he went through it further with Ebrose and helped even, write further drafts of it, since he, totally. with Bran, I imagine, since they have such access to the history network. Kingsguard, Brienne and Pod, a very talkative master of coin and holder of many lands, Bronn, and Sir Davos, master of ships and grammar. So many years with Stannis left their mark. Then, in the north, we have Sansa, the queen in the north. Further north, Jon, the new king beyond the wall. And a very heartwarming reconnection with Ghost. Glad to have my old theory be broken. I can't remember what your theory was, but if you're glad it's broken, I am too. And somewhere in the west, a ship with stark banners, carrying Arya on her new missions. But is the wheel broken? The series started at the Wall and ends at the Wall. It starts with the Starks and ends with them. It started with a throne made of dragonfire and ends with one destroyed by dragonfire. It started with an absent king who was whoring and drinking and ends with an absent king who wargs. At least he won't whore or drink. He'll be a better ruler. Some small details at the end of the episode. Sansa's coat has weirwood leaves on it, beautifully sewn in and reminding us all of the weirwood trees in the past episodes.
Oh my God. I saw that in the sleeves.
I gasped.
Yeah, you guys noticed that too,
huh? That was amazing.
So cool. And when the wildlings go north of the wall, we see a snowdrop getting out of the snow, a sign of upcoming spring. Ooh, a dream of spring, as the last book is supposed to be titled. Finally, before I sign off, I have one metaphor that I want to bring up and one lingering question. First, the metaphor. Even from the end of the first seasons, there were people comparing the dragons with nuclear weapons. Last episode and the scenes at the start of this one, showing a completely devastated King's Landing, are further empowering this metaphor. I think this reflects Grimm's anti-war ideals, his pacifist thoughts. In a world where there are a lot of powerful agents sowing seeds of discord, it is fitting that the end of one of the most watched TV series ends on a note of peace. Even trying to get everyone to accept a democracy. Sam tries to get everyone on board to a direct democracy, but every other lord keeps laughing at him, as that's too much of a change. Though in the end, they decide that from now on, all lords will elect every new king, aka president. That's a representative democracy if you squint a little and assume that tyrannical lords will get overthrown by their small folk. Or maybe I'm reading too much into it here. I don't think so. Going on, the lingering question, what if Bran planned it all? We know he has the power to warg into people, and we haven't really seen him do much warging this season. What if all these unexplained actions in the past episodes, actions which raised a lot of criticisms from the viewers, what if they are just Bran moving things around so that in the end he will become ruler of the kingdoms, and the other Starks will have their own little worlds to rule over too? Oh, it's so bugged out. Thank you for all the podcast episodes you provided. I still have to listen to the rewatch of season 6 and 7. Ooh, those are good ones.
Nice.
Those
They're
are
pretty good.
Yeah, they start getting real good around then. Hopefully, there will be more episodes after this one, either with book-related content or with details/commentaries that span across episodes. Looking forward to all of them. P.S. I can now say that my watch has ended, but there might be a rewatch. But first, now my reread begins.
Nice.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Oh, we'll definitely be covering books and all kinds of good stuff. And I think we should have some round tables with listeners to just talk about like the series as a whole and stuff like that too.
Yeah, I think we'll do something more stuff with the series first before we dive into the deep ocean that is George R.R. Martin's mind.
Yeah, totally.
I think it would be awesome if you guys got, as a listener, if you got everyone involved. It feels really special when everyone knows what is going on. I like it.
Yeah.
Should we
I love having guests on.
Should we do the rewatch? Should we do, I don't know.
I think we do a poll.
I love that.
Sure. Sounds good to me.
Lord Paul of House Walmsley. Fucking beautiful. That's all I've got to say. After the vision in the House of the Undying where she is in the destroyed throne room. She is with Drogo and her unborn child. I'd like to think that's where she is now for her vision. Edmure from House Derp Bloop. Yeah.
Lord Brad of House Galloway. I'm okay with where the Game of Thrones ended. At least where it all ended up. No, it's not the way I'd do it, but that doesn't matter. Dany going mad, Cersei and Jaime dying in each other's arms, even Arya killing the Night King and Bran becoming king. I'm okay with all of those things. It was bittersweet, like Martin said it would be. The real problem with seasons 7 and 8, as it has been pointed out before, is that they were rushed with only 13 episodes between them, and the dialogue wasn't up to par with the earlier seasons. The rushed writing made it so these ending points didn't make sense, however foreshadowed they were. Still, I read that a lot of fans feel like they wasted almost a decade watching the show because the ending was bad. That is an unfair critique, I feel, as we were provided with years of entertainment. Not to mention a fandom community that has brought people together with memes, podcasts, forums, and discussion. As much as any entertainment is time well spent, I feel that Game of Thrones, despite what you may feel about the ending, was time well spent if it brought you happiness.
Perfect.
Yeah, so good. As Gurm once said, art is not a democracy. Thank you to Martin, D&D, and the wonderful cast and crew of Game of Thrones for a wonderful show. Best of luck in your future endeavors. Brad Galloway.
Thank you, Brad. That was very well put.
Yes, very eloquently written.
Really
good sir. That. I love that George R.R. Martin quote. Art is not a democracy.
Mm-hmm.
Mars Lovejoy. Thank you for not being one of those podcasts that spent the bulk of time just bitching about the show. Do people not understand that this show itself is an artistic interpretation by Dan and Dave? A breathtakingly beautiful one at that. They don't owe the audience anything but to be entertaining. That's it. The same way I listen to podcasts to be entertained by perspectives on the show, but if I didn't like the pod, I just wouldn't listen. It's just weird to me how so many Game of Thrones podcasts have turned into such negative places to discuss one of the greatest shows of all time. Meanwhile, I loved it, and I think there are so many interesting angles to explore. Was Sansa the ultimate mastermind of the whole show? Was Bran? Was Jon killing Dany because she was wrong about wanting to recreate the world in her own image? Or did he just kill her because he knew it was the only way to protect his sisters? I mean, there's just so much meat on the bone, and at least you guys are peeping that. Seriously, listen to any Game of Thrones podcast. They're only one Joker push from straight crying like bitches over an amazing show not being as amazing as their imagined mazes. Get the fuck out of here. New York City. Sir Thomas of House Arnold. Hi all, just found you guys after a disappointing survey through the Fairweather fandom. Ooh. Thanks for being so sane and appreciative about the finale and the show as a whole, and congratulations on gaining a new fan. Thanks for listening, brother. One thing I appreciate is the show's use of classical tragedy, when every event happens in just the wrong way to lock in a painfully inevitable outcome. I like how Tyrion had the highest tally of tragic choices, and how the terrible insight that he gains lets him see Bran as the choice for ruler. He thinks his public life is over, but Bran forces him into the role that Tyrion now knows he's not worthy of. But that transformative discovery has made him worthy, which the Solomon-like Bran sees. The Game of Thrones world is so sprawling that it can contain the tragic insight and the new life for the transformed protagonist. The small council scene brilliantly shows the second part. There are so many fully formed protagonists that every kind of arc is covered in the same story. It's so Game of Thrones that the mystic cripple, whose story we assumed would climax with the defeat of the Night King, was preparing for the political world as well. Bran's importance seemed a little underwhelming after he didn't do anything dramatic to defeat the Night King. But now the sacrifices of the Reeds and Hodor are so significant. Plus, we had Lewin training Bran to be a little lord when he was younger, right? So it kind of fits. A throwaway moment between Tyrion and Bran in Winterfell was where Tyrion learned Bran's story. No one else was curious enough to ask and really listen. Bran's line to Jon about almost being a man was referencing possible kingship. Bran was socially odd after the Three-Eyed Raven download, but became more integrated every time we saw him, yet so gradually that we wouldn't consider him for king. That's a great point. He does seem to be like that. Initial download sort of fried him into Robo-Bran mode, but he's normalizing slowly, episode by episode, as we see him smiling and being kind of normal this episode. So it does seem like he's sort of acclimating to the download at this point and becoming more human in like the Three-Eyed Raven was. He was pretty normal, relatively speaking. Bran sits in the symbolic center of the selection council, but it didn't even occur to me until Tyrion's speech when it all fell into place. And he's basically sitting there on a throne already, too, which is so funny. Cheers, Thomas. P.S. I just heard your in-depth on the bells and love the explanation of Dany as unsatisfied with her win and needing more. Really makes sense. The tragedy there is she would have been satisfied if she had just attacked right after arriving in Westeros. I guess the lesson is always trust Diana Rigg. P.P.S. Do we know if Mira is still alive? I think she is. And thank you, Sir Thomas, for the excellent feedback. Great to hear from you, brother, and thanks for finding the show. Glad to have you on board. Thank you so much to everybody who's been participating and listening and sending in your feedback throughout the rewatch and throughout this final season of Game of Thrones. We really appreciate all you guys, and thank you so much for being part of the show. We love giving you guys a platform to get your thoughts out as well.
We are so appreciative of you guys. Mm-hmm. It's amazing. Our community is amazing.
100%.
Oh, I'm the community. Thank you for having me on.
All right, that's our show, episode 120. Thanks for listening, everybody.
Yes, thank you guys so much. We're sad that it's over, but Game of Microphones is not over. We will be continuing our ramblings for years to come.
Definitely. And another mega thank you to Princess Sarah of House Von Daltrin for joining us for this amazing finale episode. Great to have you here, Princess Sarah.
I'm so glad you were here, too.
Much. I'm so excited. This was there was so much on this episode. It took like 2 days.
Yeah.
It was amazing.
It took pretty much 2 full days of recording.
Yeah. I love it.
And a huge thank you to John Bailey, the epic voice guy from the Emmy-nominated Honest Trailers, for announcing our show. If you'd like to donate or subscribe to support us, now's the perfect time, as we have a backer who's willing to match donations 3 times as incentive for you to support Game of Microphones. If you appreciate the show and would like to donate, you can go to paypal.me/GOMpodcast or patreon.com/GOMpodcast to donate an amount of your choosing. There are links to both at gameofmicrophones.com.
Doing some online shopping? Go to gameofmicrophones.com and click on our link to Amazon. As an Amazon associate, we earn from qualifying purchases.
Any contribution you make helps, and you can help secure the continued existence of Game of Microphones, which will exist continually.
Yes.
I'm so excited about what's going to happen with you guys.
Yeah, we're looking forward to some nice in-depth book coverage, which will be a lot of fun.
Oh, I'm so excited. A lot of fun.
We'd also like to thank our patrons, Sir Matthew of House Repp, Lady Candace of House Tews, Lady Teri of House Theodore, Luke the Low Duke, Lady Lucy of House Roberts, Lord Zach of House Bruce, Lord Jeff of House Allen, Lord John of House Grilz, Sirenicide, Lord Jeremiah of House Carpenter, Lord Robert of House Misiaveg, Lady Jen from Tarot Spirit, Lord Kori Eugene of House Kuhn, Lord Calvin of House Cook, and Lord George of House Howard. We love you guys and appreciate your patronage. Make sure to check out Sirenicide, the serialized horror drama podcast featuring me and Archmaester Stitches. Go to Sirenicide.com and download it wherever you get your podcasts. And Rachel, why don't you talk a little bit about your Arbonne situation?
Yes, I'm not sure many of you know that I own a network marketing business with a health and wellness company called Arbonne International.
We should have been talking about it the whole time, honestly, so I apologize. I didn't think to have you mention it beforehand.
No, it's totally fine. It's a phenomenal company, and actually that's why I was in Las Vegas. I went from Thursday to Sunday to our annual global training conference, and I just got so inspired and excited to share what this company is kind of doing. The company's been around for about 40 years now, and we are really kind of the innovator and the originators of clean and healthy living. So we've always been gluten-free and vegan and certified humane, and we're kosher, we're GMO-free. And Arbonne abides by the EU standards, not FDA standards. So we actually go above and beyond both and ban over 2,400 harmful chemicals and ingredients in all of our products.
Nice.
And I just can't thank this company enough for the financial stability that it's given me, the extra income, the amazing community of women and men, of entrepreneurs, just, you know, whether they want to do it to make it as a career or just do it as a side business like I do personally right now. I just love this company so much. So if you are interested in knowing more about this company, we are just completely on fire. And I love to share my testimony about our 30 Days to Healthy Living program, which actually we just discovered will be clinically tested this year for results. I did the 30 Days to Healthy Living program 3 months in a row and lost over 35 pounds. And that was after I had my son. And I never felt hungry. I never felt like I was going without. And we have health and wellness products that stem from vegan protein powder to pre and post workout to men and women's skincare and cosmetics to baby care products. So please feel free to reach out to me directly via Facebook or Instagram if you are curious to learn more about our products and also about the amazing business opportunity and community that this company offers.
Awesome.
Thanks for letting me share, Duncan.
Of course.
And I really appreciate it.
Yeah, no problem.
Next episode, we'll be covering the Season 8 documentary, which airs next Sunday at the same time. We also might be popping up for some live shows and maybe another interview with John Fay, who we believe was also in the last scene this week.
Whoa! So look forward to that. We're going to reach out to him and see what's going on.
I saw him. He's right behind Jon Snow.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
Nice.
When they're walking beyond the wall, Jon starts to look back towards the gate and he's right behind him.
Awesome. I was looking for him. I must have just missed him.
If you'd like to call, you can call us at 813-JOFFREY. That's 813-563-3739. And you need more calls.
Yes.
Voicemails.
Send us your
I love the voicemails.
Yeah, I don't know if we got any voicemails during Season 8. That's pretty crazy, huh?
Yeah. Send us your voicemails.
Yes.
Yeah, definitely. Especially when we start covering the books and stuff. We want your messages.
No pressure. And we'll make you sound cool.
We'll try. No promises.
Right?
I'm just kidding. You're all cool. If you'd like to write in, you can always email us at ravens@gameofmicrophones.com.
Check out our Facebook page at facebook.com/GOM podcast.
You can also listen to Game of Microphones on YouTube, BitChute, and Steam It. Just search for Game of Microphones to find our channel. Likes, comments, and shares are so appreciated.
We're also on Twitter, Instagram, Gab, and Minds at GOM Podcast.
And we're on Tumblr too at Game of Microphones.
All right. That's our show.
Thanks for listening.
Thanks for having me.
Oh, we love you. We love you so
thanks
much.
for coming.
How you doing?
All hail Bran the Broken, first of his name, king of the Andals and the first men, lord of the 6 kingdoms, and protector of the realm.
All hail Bran the Broken. Oh, God.
She's like going crazy.
Bailey did that one time. She was in her cage overnight and ended up with like diarrhea and must have like spun around in a circle and just like launched turds everywhere.
The turd launcher.
It's not fun. Not fun. You can't get that smell out.
Sie lieben Aachen, schlechten Tagen.
What the fuck?
9. Oh, 9. You don't recognize that song?
No.
Du
hast.
Du hast mich.
All you had to say is the do. Oh, shit. I almost just pulled my computer off. Whoopsies.
Willst du bis der Tod scheide, trauer sein für alle Tage? 9. 9.
I'm totally having deja vu, you guys. It's really weird.
That is really weird. The cat is like glitching in the corner in the Matrix. Glitch in the Matrix.
So weird. Like, I mean, Sarah, I had no idea that you were coming on today until like this afternoon. And I feel like this whole like past like 5 minutes has been like deja vu.
Like it's already happened. You've never
so
spoken
weird.
to Sarah before, but it feels like you have.
You know,
It's so weird. I'm in the Matrix. Help.
It's because we talk on Facebook all the time.
I think so.
I
It's
think
just
we were,
crazy.
like-
Do you choose the red
We got
pill
that
or the blue
connection.
pill, Rachel?
They went in so many directions with the music just in that one little
I
scene.
know, it was insane.
Like it was sad to happy to what?
Yeah, and it ends on a happy note. It ended on a happy note. I think that's worth noting.
Ah, farts.
I can't believe they left her alone. Like, she has no guards around her at all.
Yeah, well, the thing is, like, they're in the Red Keep at this moment. So obviously the Unsullied have been through it here and secured it entirely.
That's true.
So this
That's supposed to be
area,
the safest place.
yeah, this
for her.
this area is secure, and she's got Drogon outside the entrance. Anybody other than Jon would never have been able to get to her, which is why
That's
it's
true.
so
Exactly.
important that he's a Targaryen. The fact that Ned saved him is the only thing that enabled Dany to be stopped here. The fact
that
that he's a
crazy?
Targaryen. Yeah, his blood is what enabled him to prevent his blood from continuing its reign of fire and blood, basically. There's this crazy moment where like she reacts and their kiss breaks and she looks down, and at the moment where she looks down where you realize that she's the one who's been stabbed.
Yeah.
And then she looks back up at him and he kind of winces like you made me do this, you know what I mean? Like and her eyebrows raise in response like, oh my God, like you actually did that. And just like the nuances of this tandem performance.
I'm getting goosebumps.
Yeah, like
I know.
oh my God,
I think I just did like everything that you just said with my face.
yeah, it's so intense. Like this.
There you go for the video podcast.
Yeah, this
There you go.
we Sorry, I lost my spot there. Hit a button and the page jumped.
Any contribution you make helps. And oh my God, sorry.
That's going in the outtakes too.
I was totally making fun of you guys, and then
what happened there?
As an Amazon associate.
Keep that one. That's the one you keep.
That's going to the outtakes for sure. Sounds right to me. I think he's from Scotland as well.
Lord Paul of House Womsey? No, that was so wrong. All right.
Steve Urkel over there.
I know, I do snort.